here we go.
You ready? All right. So just to recap the last thing or so that we said on Tov Kuf Chav Tes, which would be page 529. So we said an interesting idea that it's brought down that in the future to come, in the times of Moshiach, so Hashem is going to give the nations of the world the mitzvah of Sukkah. Okay, it's coming up. He's going to give them the mitzvah of Sukkah, and then he's going to make it unbearable for them to eat in the Sukkah, to dwell in the Sukkah. He's going to take the sun out of its sheath and make it so intense, and they're going to walk out of the Sukkah, storm out of the Sukkah, and in rebellion, kick it, which is to show that their observance and their adherence to mitzvahs is all selfish at the end of the day. It's all about them serving Hashem. And as opposed to the Jewish people, where if a person is exempt from doing the mitzvah of, let's say, Sukkah, and he can't fulfill the mitzvah, let's say due to weather conditions, where the Jewish law then is that one is in fact exempt from doing the mitzvah, if it's too unbearably hot or too cold, or if it's pouring rain. So it's called mitzta'er, one who is in this extreme discomfort. So he's pater, he is exempt. But the Jew doesn't mind. In other words, he says, Hashem, it's all good. You want me to eat in the sukkah? Great. You don't want me to? That's your will. That's fine. And then he concluded with giving sort of an example of someone who loves someone else. So regular, conventional love and deep love is that I want to give and to make sure that my beloved is comfortable, has all of their needs and everything. And if someone else would grant it to them and I'm no longer needed to do that role, I would be upset or jealous or something of that nature. Whereas real, true love, if you really love the other party, then it's not about me. So as long as they get what they need, I'm good, I'm happy. It doesn't have to be through me. All right. And that brings us to the bottom of page Tov Kuf Chav Tes, Zayin. This is the seventh section in this entry, which, as we said, started many pages ago and has a total of 17. And now we're up to number 7. Hasugim shebohem, the different types amongst them of the nations of the world, v'his yachasusam la'kodesh baruch hu, in their relationship to Hashem. Isa, it is stated, quoting from a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos and Ethics of the Fathers, chapter 3. Chaviv Adam, man is beloved, is cherished. Shenivra b'tzelem chuli, that he was created in the image, etc. In other words, man was created in the image of Hashem, as it says in the Torah, and that is what Pirkei Avos is talking about. So man is cherished. V'koi, says the Tzemach Tzedek, that this is referring to al chasidei akum mazolis. That this is from the righteous or from the pious of the nations of the world. And again, it says Ayin Chavav Mem Zayin, which stands for Oivdei Kechavim Umazolis, those that worship stars and constellations. But again, it could be that it really should just say the nations of the world, Chasidei Umes haOlam, as we've spoken so many times.
I was going to say, I wonder if that's
censorship.
Yeah.
So don't take the akum part too literal. It could be it's Chasidei, it's Umes haOlam, but the main point is it's Chasidei. It's the righteous.
I would say that this goes along with my, the phrasing does go along with like
Chasidei akum.
Yeah.
How so?
They're still in the haOlam, still in the concealment. They don't have a revelation.
Who the Chasidei akum?
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to who?
Well, I would say this is Hasid Umot haOlam.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are the ones that are referred to as man who was created in the image of Hashem. V'hei mekablim, and they're receiving, mi bechinas Adam sheba merkava, from the level of Adam, which is in the spiritual chariot, in the vision of Yecheskel, shelemaila, above, spiritually, mipnei shor, from the face of the ox. Remember, there is the pnei shor, the ox, and there's the pnei nesher, which is commonly translated, but others claim that it's a big mistake, as eagle, whatever it is. So the Chasidu Umot, the people, are receiving from Pnei Shor, V'heim hama'aminim, and those are the non-Jews that believe B'chidush yesh me'ayin, in creation yesh me'ayin, that Hashem in fact created, as they always bring it down in Latin for whatever reason, ex nihilo, something from absolute and complete nothingness. They believe that. Umekaymin ha-mitzvos shenitztavu b'nei Noach, and they are fulfilling the commandments that Noachites were commanded. So that's like amazing. That's like the top of the nations of the world, of the non-Jewish people. V'shoyrish in Yonam, and the root of this, she'al yedei ze gamkein nimshach habris hakrusa livnei Noach, and by doing so, through this, is also drawn down the covenant which was made with the Noachites, back with Noach after the flood. Oh, so wow. Hashem made a bris. So it's thanks to these Chasidei Umot haOlam that are so believing and so observant that it comes down.
Is this before or after? Is this before they were loosed?
Before what?
Before they were loosed, in the phrase in Avodah Zarah where Hashem loosed them from being commanded because they weren't doing them. Do you know?
No, he's talking about now after Matan Torah.
He is talking about nowadays.
Yeah. Oid, like it says in Noach, Oid kol yemei haaretz chuli, that all the days of the earth, and there it says that all the seasons and day and night, all of nature, so Hashem promises will not cease after the flood, when he makes the rainbow and all that, and then he makes the covenant. Ubasidur Piresh. Now that Tzemach Tzedek is bringing down from the Alter Rebbe, his grandfather, that in the Siddur Imdach, the Siddur with Chasidus, there he interprets Shehem Ki'inyan HaMalachim Da'asiyah, that they are like the angels of the world of Asiyah, Shehem L'mayla Mimadregas Hasarim, they are higher than the level of the ministering angels. V'hamalachim Da'asiyah, and these malachim, these angels of Asiyah, Heim HaMemunim, they are the ones in charge, they were appointed, Al kol hashpoi selam hazeh, on all of the flow of everything that comes down into this physical world. Likutim Seif Parshas Pinchas, Daf Ein Tes Gimel, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Likutim Torah, at the end of the portion of Pinchas, that would be page Ayin Tes 79, column 3, meaning on the second side, the right-hand column. Veheim hagba ma'oid, and they are very high. Naile mehaoiv de gilulim migimel klipois. They are much higher than the idolaters that come from the three klipois. Oy, or meharad de klipas noiga, from the bad part of klipas noiga. As we know, noiga is a mix of good and bad.
You're saying they're
the Chasidim Umot haOlam are higher than the bad part of klipas noiga.
Oh, wow.
V'gam bohem, and in them too, yesh madregois, there are various levels. So it's not just one level, Chasidu Umot haOlam, and now you're all the same. Within Chasidu Umot haOlam itself, there are levels. Ayin bar Ramaz, Reish Parshas Vayakel, Binyan Amalek Chulu, Shemeshuna Mishar Akum Chulu. So he says, take a look in, this is a very famous, or I should say quoted often, Mekubal commentary, the Ramaz, that he explains the idea of Amalek, how it's much different than all the other nations of the world that are idolaters. So in other words, you may think, oh, well, there's three categories. There's Yisrael, and then you have the other extreme, the Akum, and then you have the Chasidu Umot haOlam and whatnot in the middle. He says, no. The category of the nations of the world, of the Umot haOlam, also have many categories, not just 70 nations all bunched at one level. Like Amalek is the worst and is much, much different than all the rest. So similarly, we're saying now, within Chasidei Umot haOlam, there's also various different levels.
Wow.
Aval Chasidei Hanal, however, these Chasidei Umot haOlam, Mikabli me'amalachim da'asiyah, they are receiving from a very high level, from the angels of the spiritual world of Asiyah, which is the lowest of the spiritual worlds, or alternatively, they're receiving from or through the good part of Klipas Noiga. That's pretty good. V'im kain, and if so, if that's how we're going to place them in this spiritual level, they are very far, or they're far, the Chasidu Umot haOlam, mibechinas, from the aspect of im tagbi kanesher chuli, that there's a verse that says about the chutzpah, the audacity, and the arrogance of the nations of the world, that if you're going to raise yourself like the nesher, which is the bird that flies the highest, from there, etc., is Hashem says from there, I'm going to bring you down. Because what they want to do is destroy, they want to break the government of sanctity, of holiness. So the Chasidim Umot haOlam are so far from that expression of being so arrogant and wanting to destroy the government of Kedusha, they're very far from that. Ki'im, rather, what are the Chasidim Umot haOlam? Adarabba, on the contrary. Heim nichnoim, they are subdued, they subdue themselves, tachas HaKedusha chuli, under Kedusha.
What? Under Kedusha.
Yeah, they're subduing themselves to Kedusha.
Oh my goodness. This has jam-packed.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever heard of this before. No, that's not true, but
well, it's pretty
not talked about.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I have so many questions.
V'im kain, and if so, yesh loymar, we can say, heim legabe HaKedusha. So what are they relative to Kedusha? They're not Kedusha, they're not Yisrael. So what are they? We're saying they're so far from any bad. So what are they? Im kain, yesh loymar, heim legabe HaKedusha k'moi klipa, they are a klipa, but hashomer ala pri, which is preserving and guarding the fruit that's inside. So it's a good klipa. It's not a concealment. It's not hiding the truth, but it's a klipa of protection. Not like the shell or the peel or the cover that is covering and therefore opposing the fruit inside. For this is how the world was created. Hashem made it that way, that there should be the outer shell and the inner fruit.
Like the skin of Adam or something like that.
Hashem made it that it's for protection. So the shell or the pio is there to protect the fruit. And that's what they are, these Chasidim Misoilam. And now, you ready for this?
This is the Klipa Noga, then. This is like, that's it.
But this is the higher part of Klipas
The
Noga.
higher part.
It's pretty intense.
Oh, it's the part that touches the fruit.
He didn't say that.
Didn't say that. Okay.
That.
Sorry. My mind's going a mile a minute. This is awesome.
This is taken from a teaching of the Tzemach Tzedek for Pesach.
Oh, wow.
And now you're gonna understand the relevance to Pesach.
Is this what's in the Siddur and Dach, like around 47 or so?
No, he made reference to that, but this is something else.
Okay.
This is from the Tzemach Tzedek's Drushim, his teachings for Pesach and for Parshas Va'eschanan. Vizehu, top line on Tov Kuf Lamed, page 530. Vizehu shemakshe, and this is the meaning of the question haben chacham, of the wise son. There's 4 sons at the Seder that are asking the father the questions. There's the chacham, the wise one, the rasha, the wicked one, the tum, the simpleton, and the she'ena yedei alisha, the one that doesn't even know how to ask. So the chacham, the greatest one, and each one formulates their question differently. I mean, except for the one who cannot ask, he doesn't say anything, so then we have to initiate and address him. But each one of them is asking questions in a different format. So how does the Ben Chacham, how does the wise one ask? What does he say? Ma ha'edos chuli. He asks, what are all of these laws and statutes and testimonies that Hashem has commanded you? Kloimar, meaning to say, let's explain the formulation of the question of the Chacham, of the wise son. Havaya lekenu. That's what he mentions. So he says, Havaya, Hashem, lekenu, our Hashem. Zeu shemekabel ul malchus shamayim. That means he's accepting already, in his question even, he's accepting upon himself the yoke of heaven, of the heavenly court, of the heavenly government. Umamin babriya yesh me'ayin, and he believes in creation of yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. Ubahashkacha, and he believes in divine providence, in hashkacha. So what's his problem? What question can he have? Rak makshe, listen to this. He's merely asking, Lama loydai b'sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach.
Oh!
The Ben Chacham, I got to remember this for this Pesach.
So hold on. You're going to have to translate that. I can't translate that fully, but that's big.
Again, Rak, only.
Yes.
Makshe, he's questioning. Lama, why? Loy dai, is it not enough, insufficient? B'sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach. Why is it not enough? Why do we need eidos, chukim, mishpatim? Why can't all the Jewish people have Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach? Why isn't that good enough to serve Hashem?
Wow.
I mean, look how high a Noachite can become. He can be from Chasidim haOlam, and he can be really, really amazing and protect the fruit, etc. So why do we need more than Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach? Wow.
He's asking this about Yisrael or about himself?
Well, no, he's asking about Yisrael. The Ben Chacham is saying, why does Yisrael need more? And here, let's continue the question. Shal yedei zeh, because through the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, mamshichim, they, the Chasidim haOlam, are drawing down chidush yesh me'ayin, this idea of the innovation of creation. Yeah, it's interesting that we're learning this tonight, because tonight is actually the 25th of Elul, so the world is unofficially another year older tonight. It's the birthday. 5786 years ago is when heavens and earth were created.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good. Yeah, I never thought about that.
The first moment of Yesh Me'ayin started exactly now.
Oh, that's awesome. And we're just going through it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
some Hashgacha Pratis.
that absolutely is.
Wow.
So they draw down, the Bnei Noach
Mhm.
draw down Chidush Yesh Me'ayin, V'gam Kain, the acronym, V'gam Kain, and also Yesh Chelek L'Olam Haba Chuli. They have a portion in Olam Haba as well.
Mm.
So now, to the punchline, or to sum up, to wrap up the question, V'im Kain, the acronym, V'im Kain, and if so, Ma'inyan Ha'edes V'chukim Chuli. So what's the whole idea of the testimonial commandments and the chukim? Why do you need all that? What are we lacking? We draw down chidush. The Hashem is innovated. He's creating yesh me'ayin, and they have a portion of the haba. So why do we need more than that? Why do we have to have all these different types of mitzvahs for Bnei Yisrael? That's the Chacham's question.
Mm-hmm.
V'atshuva. So what's the answer? Yesh loymar. So we can explain the answer as follows. Kihine yodua. For behold, it is known. Inyan ki keil deois. What's the idea of keil deois? That's based on a verse that says in Parshas Balak that keil deis Hashem. Hashem is the Kael, the Hashem, of deois, of opinions or perspectives. Why in the plural? What does that mean? So, of course, there's many explanations, but the way Chassidus always emphasizes, what's the plural of deois here? Shebechinas yesh me'ayin, that in this concept of yesh me'ayin, of creation from absolute nothingness to make something, as great as that may be, to come to that realization and that belief, and not to categorically denounce evolution, but to look at it in the deepest way, the creation is really yesh me'ayin. That's still the lower perspective, the lower level of belief.
The oneness. It's like yeah.
So where does that perspective come from? It's drawn down from the level that Hashem is Malchus, his kingship, his sovereignty is over all the worlds. And from there, from the level of Malchus, comes down and ultimately time and space. Time and space spiritually comes from Malchus, that Hashem is king over all worlds. Aval, however, we're now going to tell us a secret. We're now going to be privy to a deeper, higher perspective. Kamei, mamish, before him, in front of Hashem, from his perspective, not looking from down up and saying, oh, yesh me'ayin, but looking at it really from his perspective. Kula kila chashiv. It's all non-existent. Not that he rules over all. Not that he is the source of time and space. Time and space and everything is totally irrelevant. There is nothing. It's not yesh me'ayin. What kind of yesh? Yesh means something, substance, existence that's coming from absolute nothingness. So say, no. Why do you say that there's any yesh?
And is that the connection that Hasidim haOlam still have to the Umot haOlam?
No. So now
connection?
we're saying what the answer. Now we're answering.
Okay. The question, his question.
Yes. Now we're saying what Yisrael has.
Oh.
Ulemaila, and the way, the perspective on the higher way is hu hayesh. Actually, when we say yesh me'ayin, we mean our world, our existence, our feelings, our perception. That's yesh, but really we're coming from absolute nothingness. He says, no, the real perspective, the higher perspective of Hashem is totally flipped. He's the real yesh. Don't call him ayin. He is the real existence and the only existence. Ulamata b'chinas ayin, and that which he created is non-existent. We're the ayin.
So I tell people like Hashem really is the reality. We are just emanations and we don't really exist. We just look like we exist.
Well, hold on, let's see. Ubishvil gilui b'chinazu, and for this revelation, in order to get to such a perspective, ikar inyan nisina so'edus v'chukim chuli. That is primarily why Yisrael were given all these differentiated types of categories of mitzvahs. As is explained in the Mimer, the discourse, with the opening words, Bisha sheikdimu naaseh, referring to what the Talmud says in Masechta Shabbos, that at the time that the Jewish people said naaseh before Nishma,
yes! Oh my good. Yeah, that's that's a big thing between Jews and non-Jews. It's like we have to figure it out first. Jews they just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll try to.
Paragimo. So he's referring to a mimer, presumably of the Alter Rebbe, Bisha Shigdimu, chapter 3. Val derech zeh, and along the same lines, Perush, it's explained B'dibur HaMaschil with the opening statement, Moshe Yedaber, that Moshe will speak. V'ayin basidur, and now this is maybe what you were referring to. Take a look in the Sidurim Dach, B'dibur HaMaschil, with the opening discourse with the verse, Sheishes Yom Techal Matzos. 6 days you shall eat matzahs.
That's it.
Darush Harishain, this acronym, Dalad Reish, Vav Hey Reish. Darush Harishain, the first one, because there's a few with that opening pasuk. So take a look in the first discourse of Sheishes Yomim. Be'inyan, and what does it say in all these references that he's sending us to look at? In the idea, the theme of matzah being michla dimeheimenusa. Matzah is food of faith, of belief. Shein pirush zeho emuna levad lahamin bivrias ha'olam yesh meyayin. It doesn't mean that matzah is the food that's going to just simply give you faith and belief that Hashem is the creator and he creates yesh meyayin. That's not what the Jews need matzah for. Even a guy from Chasidum Yisraelim, they believe that too, as we said. So the Jew doesn't need matzah to get to that. Chasidei Umay Yisraelim, the highest level of the Chasidum Yisraelim, believe that Hashem is the creator, yesh meyayin. And they believe in Hashgacha. So what's the matzah for? Ella, rather, ha'emuna, the faith that the Jew gets by eating matzah, ubechinas anoichi. That is this aspect of the first word when Hashem introduces himself and reveals himself at Sinai. The first word of the Ten Commandments is anoichi, I am. Husoivev kol alamin. This is the higher transcendent level of godliness. Soivev, the all-encompassing, as opposed to mimale, the feeling. Which is higher than the root of creation in a way of yesh meyayin. Because yesh meyayin comes from malchus. Soiviv is much higher than that. And malchus is it's merely a name, a ray, a manifestation of Hashem. So, in order for a Jew to be able to connect and believe in Soivev, he needs the matzah. Because the Soivev is seemingly, he didn't say it outright yet, but seemingly inaccessible, non-accessible for even Chasidum Yisraelim. And let's try to finish up the piece. Ubir Ha'inyan, to explain this theme, Hainu, meaning, to say, that from this aspect, Nimshach Hadas Elyoin you draw down the higher level. We said kel deos in the plural, the higher perspective. Shalomaylo hayesh, that up there Hashem is the true existence. Ulemata ayin v'kelo choshiv chuli. And down here, meaning all the worlds, all of creation, is the non-entity and considered completely like nothing. V'alzeh hi matzah. And this precisely is what the matzah is. Ma'achol, it is food. Lavoi li bechinas emuna zoi, to come to this emuna, to be able to have such a perspective, which goes against our nature of a human being, even a Jew. It goes against our natural feeling of I am. So to be able to internalize, or at least to have the emuna, the faith and the belief in the higher truth that Hashem is the yesh and we're ayin, for that we eat matzah. And this is the idea of the exodus from Egypt. Ki Mitzrayim de klipa, because Mitzrayim in the negative, the klipa, the Egyptians, zeo klipas noiga, that is klipas noiga, ha hester gamur, which is complete concealment, v'sham hu chinam beloy mitzvos. And over there, as the Jews complained later after they left Mitzrayim, so they were having, one of their many complaints was they say to Moshe, we remember the fish that we ate in Egypt, chinam, for free. So the question, for free, these people were enslaved and tortured and oppressed. What kind of free? They meant free from mitzvahs. We weren't obligated to keep mitzvahs.
What does it mean by the klipat noiga is complete, is in secret, concealed? What is it? Completely concealed. I don't understand that.
Yeah, you'd think that it would say that Mitzrayim is the gimel klipas atmeyos.
Yes. That's my, yes, you're exactly right. That's my question.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I thought maybe at the bottom they would have a notation, because sometimes they do that, but they don't have. I don't know. I don't know why he says klipas noiga here.
Okay.
However, gam Mitzrayim de kedusha. And I understand, besides the Mitzrayim of klipa, which is usually the case, there is Mitzrayim of kedusha. So even Mitzrayim of kedusha, zeu inyan hadeya tachtoina. What's Mitzrayim of kedusha? Mitzrayim means constraint, means a limitation. So what would Mitzrayim of kedusha be? Mitzrayim of kedusha would be the belief in the lower level, the lower das, believing that Hashem is creating yesh me ayin. We are yesh, but we come from ayin. Hashem is the creator. And from this idea is drawn down Shekol Olam b'Mitzrayim ugvulim, that the whole world and everything is Mitzrayim, is limitations. V'yetzias Mitzrayim. So what's the exodus? What's the escape? How do you get out of Mitzrayim? What does that mean? That is the belief in this higher level of Anoichi, in the Soivev, in the truer perspective, Hashem's perspective. Ubikriyas Yamsuf, and then by the splitting of the sea, Nimshach bechina zoi begilui mamish. This idea that the Jews got by eating matzah and then by leaving Mitzrayim physically and spiritually, it really became completely revealed, but mamish really revealed on the seventh day of Pesach when the Yam Suf was split. Because the idea of, as it says in Tehillim, that Hashem transformed the sea to dry land. Zeo Gilui Das Elyoin, that's the acronym at the end of the line, Dalet Ayin, Das Elyoin, Bidas Tachtoin. That's the idea of bringing in the Das Elyoin, the higher perspective, into Das Tachtoin, into the lower one. K'mashakasuv, Bibiyure, Hazoihar, Parshas B'Shalach, as it says in the explanations on the Zohar of Parshas B'Shalach, Al Hamaimer, Daf Memches Amud Beis, giving us the page. B'dibra Maschil Oid Yeshloimar Maimer Hanal Boif Maimer Hanal Boif and Acher. Okay, that's just the reference. So basically, okay, we're out of time, but basically, what he's saying is that by nature, the Jew also doesn't have this higher perspective. That's Hashem's perspective. But the Jew is given, so to say, the gift or the ability to have that emunah, and that's what we answer the Chacham's question, that why do we need all these differentiated types of mitzvahs, and why do we have to have matzah, etc., because so that way we, the Jewish people, the Yisrael, can have access to Das Elyon.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome. Baruch Hashem, that is awesome. Oh, man. That is just, it's for the higher perspective.
Yeah, it's the truth.
That, well, God bless you. Thank you for keeping the mitzvahs, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you got to do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right.
This is amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Sure. All the best.
Thank you. All the best. Be well.
You too.